Bryant-Denny Stadium. It is the third Saturday in October. That, of course, means that we are going to get Tennessee and Alabama. Now, the Crimson Tide clearly are surging. All they've done is continue to win ever since they went and had that disappointing loss in Tallahassee. Great moment for Florida State, tough moment for Kalen DeBoer, but they've continued to put together impressive performance after impressive performance. That Tennessee, man, I went back and I watched that Arkansas game. That was a little bit hairier than as I was sort of tracking it on the side. 4:15 starts always mess up my rhythm, but I went back, gave it the full view yesterday, and I think there's some things that are particularly concerning. Tom, I'll let you get first words, though. As you look at Alabama and Tennessee, what part of the matchup stands out to you?
I wonder, like, trying to break down how this is going to go. Like, first of all, Tennessee's offense, it's, you go back and you remember it scoring 41 points against Georgia, and you're thinking, wow, this team's pretty good. They did hit a couple of passes that made you question it. But so far, if you look, and this won't come as a shock because this is how it typically goes, but in non-conference, they were averaging 4.08 points per drive and had a 55.5% success rate. In conference, including that Georgia game, they're at 2.68 points per drive and only a 45.5% success rate. So, like, the offense has not been nearly as good against SEC play. And you look at who they've played, like, it's outside of Georgia, they haven't had the most challenging slate so far in SEC play. And then you look at their run game, like, I'm fairly confident Alabama will be able to run the ball against Tennessee. I'm not nearly as confident Tennessee will be able to run the ball against Alabama. So I feel like for Tennessee to win this game, you're going to be putting a lot on Joey Aguilar's shoulders, and this is only his second SEC road start. And no offense to Davis Wade Stadium and the Mississippi State Bulldogs and all those cowbells that are clanging during those games, playing in front of 100,000 people when they're cheering against you is a lot different than playing in front of 100,000 people when they're cheering for you. So how is he going to handle this environment against this Alabama defense without what I think will be a very effective run game? I think that's going to be huge in this game. And if he's not able to carry that load and make a couple of plays, this could get sideways.
Yeah, I lean with you. Tennessee leads the SEC in sacks, but you look at some of their opponents that they've done it against. I think they had 4 against Gunnar Stockton. That was at home with huge crowd noise impact. But that's the one thing, like, if they can, get after Ty Simpson, and I do think they have to sack him because he's made throws under duress throughout the season. Since that Florida State game, we've talked about it a ton. He's had guys in his lap. He's had to get outside the pocket. He is not impacted by the pressure. So I do think you have to bring him down. You have to make sure he doesn't throw the football. And I'll be curious to see, because that's the one thing that I think Tennessee potentially could do is get after Ty Simpson, sack him, get him off his game. But we haven't seen anybody else do it. If it was in Knoxville, like the Georgia game, I would give him a better chance to do it. So I agree with you, Tom. I do look at this Tennessee team, and I think they're more what we thought coming into the season than they were after these first 6 games, which is a really good team, but I don't think they're an elite team in the SEC.
They got pushed around a little bit by Arkansas up front. And we're tracking Jam Miller's status. Remember, he left the game with a concussion. Kalen DeBoer gave an update this week saying that he was in the protocol. Don't know what we're going to get there. Potentially might need Riley to step up with some really hard yards, but that's going to be a big part of being able to keep that Tennessee pass rush at bay. If Alabama can run the football effectively, then this could end up being a pretty long afternoon. I mean, Tennessee has allowed 30-plus points to every SEC opponent that they've played so far, and the way that Alabama's offense and Ty Simpson is playing, like, I don't see Tennessee being built to win a low-scoring grinder, but if this game gets a little sideways and it's kind of a high-scoring shootout-type game, Chris Brazzell obviously is awesome. And the idea that he might be able to spring loose some home run plays to be able to give Tennessee the scores they need in a trade paint, blow for blow type situation. Yeah, I could 100% see that. So if what's the always thing? Like, if you tell me that this is the score, what do you think happened? If you tell me that Tennessee has 27 points, then they've lost the game. If you tell me Tennessee has, 42, then yeah, I could see something along those lines.
They still might lose the game if they put up 42.
Okay, agree. I'm not guaranteeing a win in that situation, but it's just I don't see 27-24 Tennessee. I think that they've got to come out. They've got to be aggressive. We talked a little bit about the old spitting on the sideline splits. They're all the way out there at the sidelines again. They're going to test Alabama's secondary, which I think has been pretty good so far this year. We can look at who they've played and play that game, opponent adjustments and all that, but it is not an obvious weakness like it was at the beginning of last year.
And to the other side of the equation with Alabama's offense, like I mentioned how Tennessee's has dropped off in SEC play. Alabama's has too, but not to the same kind of degree. And also, if you look at the schedule, Alabama's played more difficult opponents in the SEC than Tennessee has to this point. And I think the bigger difference is that Alabama's defense against everybody, except for Florida State in that opener, has been very good. And like it has held that same level of performance week in, week out. Like we saw last week, they went on the road to face Missouri, which had been one of the better offenses in the country, and they held them in check for the most part. And I think that is a key thing going into this one. And I also, like, sometimes let's just oversimplify things. Ty Simpson or Joey Aguilar, who do you got?
All day,
based on what
Ty
you've
Simpson.
seen. Yeah.
I mean, we've got our second chance expert picks. I've got Ty Simpson as my Heisman Trophy winner. You know,
I could see that happening. Yes.
Yeah.
Joey Aguilar, being what, a solid, second team SEC, all SEC ceiling. You could be there. That could be you, Joey. Anything else, Danny? Anything else in this matchup that's got your attention one way or the other?
No, that's probably. I think we've touched on all of them.
Yeah.
I've got one more thing.
Okay.
He's not here, so this is Bud chiming in from the ether. It's the best passing attack Bama's faced.
That's a great question.
All right, so let's run it back. So, I would say Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt are a more effective passing attack this year than they were last year.
But not a great one.
But not elite.
Missouri, we have agreed,
not elite.
Not elite.
Georgia, not elite.
Yeah.
Wisconsin, no. ULM, Florida State ran the ball all over them and hit a couple big shots, but not exactly what I would call a passing offense.
I guess that goes back to the opponent adjustment clause that I threw into my Alabama secondary thought, where it's like, okay, well, this is the toughest challenge for Alabama's pass defense in the 2025 season.
Correct. And we have seen Alabama get torched a little bit by this Art Briles offense in the recent years.
We will see. Kane Womack and the rest of that defensive staff will have their hands full, no doubt.